Funny car qualifying, Earl Binns in the left lane started out and a problem developed and a wheel came off. His car turned and went right across in front of Ron O'Donnell and tipped the guardrail on the far side of the track. He was uninjured and brought the car down the track to a safe halt.
Another eerie sensation for this driver, Dennis Fairman from Houston, Texas. The traction unbelievable at the starting line at Raceway Park. You see right here the entire left rear wheel assembly of Dennis Fairman's Chevy Vega just spun off at the hub.
In a dramatic incident the day before, Shirley encountered severe tire shake during a qualifying run. The incredible vibrations caused the right rear wheel to break away from her dragster, sending it off the track and dangerously close to the guardrail. In a magnificent display of driving skill, Shirley was able to maintain enough control to keep the car out of the guardrail and finally back toward the track before the front wheels and steering system collapsed and the car slid to a stop back on the track. The safety crews were on the scene immediately as Shirley emerged shaken but uninjured and immediately put her crew to work to
Light beams across the track that staged them properly, and Richard Tharp with a little bit of a lead over Jody Smart off the starting line. But a close race, and Jody Smart pulls it out in just the last few feet. And we see Richard Tharp having trouble controlling the Candies and Hughes dragster as it apparently is a front tire rolling off on the grassy infield portion of the track. And there you see it on the right front wheel without a tire. Richard Tharp brings the Candies and Hughes car in just about 6 seconds. Shirley coming into the staging beam last. The tree's green, they're off together. And Dave settles something going wrong with the engine, and Shirley pulls away. It'll be Shirley Muldowney against Jody's, and the wheel comes off Dave Settles' car. You're closer, Steve. What's it look like from there?
As Dave Settles comes by us, Dave McClellan, he is missing a left rear wheel. The car is sliding. You can see it's on a strange attitude. And here comes the tire coming right at us.
Steve, you look out, and there goes the tire across the turnout area and down into the ditch at Gainesville Raceway. The safety safari crew right on the scene immediately as Dave Settles' dragster, minus the left rear wheel. As you can see, it broke off right at the flange on the rear axle housing, and Dave Settles, a very lucky man indeed. A great race off the starting line. Shirley's built up a bit of the lead. Can she hold on? But no, here comes Mark Oswald. And look, the tire flew off the right front wheel. Mark Oswald's got the car under control. Paul Candies congratulating his crew. The more horsepower that they develop. The nitromethane fuels. LaHaye and Kalita, and the wheels come off LaHaye's car. Both front wheels fall off LaHaye's car after a bit of a wheel stand. It skids to a stop. Kalita is already gone, the engine shut off, and he is coasting to a stop at the far end of the track. But LaHaye starting to climb out of the car. Let's watch again and see if we can see what happens. Severe shake in the car. As you can see, the wheels just crumple over. And he brings the car to a safe stop. No injury to Dick LaHaye. But what a way to lose a race to Connie Kalita, to have your front wheels fall off right at the starting line. This is the quickest top-fuel dragster in the world, the car of Gary Beck.
Hey, David, the front wheel has come off of Frank Bradley's car. The left front wheel rolled right off of the car, Bradley crossing the center line, which automatically disqualifies him. Gary Beck will win the race at 5.69, 245 miles an hour. And here you can see the front wheel is
already staged, and a great start for both cars. Losing traction is Richard Tharp, and Beck took advantage of that miscue, and the wheel, the tire, the car dropping down on the nose for Richard Tharp. He is over into Gary Beck's lane. He pulls back, goes off the racetrack at over 251 miles an hour. Richard Tharp doing a masterful driving job, keeping out of Gary Beck's way. As we go back and watch again, Beck about a car length and a half ahead. Richard Tharp at over 251 miles an hour throws the tire, and then the wheel breaks off, is still attached by the front suspension components. The car drops down on its nose, and the sparks rolling out from underneath the car. From another angle, we can see this wheel just laid back. There he is over into Beck's lane, and Richard just drives it back into his lane. It goes off the racetrack, into the dirt, in the grass, and then back onto the asphalt. A tremendous driving job by Richard Tharp.
Richard Tharp is out of his race car okay. The NHRA safety safari arriving on the scene. Richard did a nice job of driving, keeping this car upright, and it appears that it might have thrown a front tire off, something that has been happening more and more these days. When that happened, the front end suspension just kind of shredded, and we'll try to get that word from Richard himself. But one of the greatest drag races ever, a 568 to a 569 with Gary Beck taking the win. Right now, Richard is, I'm sure, a lot more concerned about his magnificent racer that took quite a bit of punishment sliding to a stop down here. Richard, you're all right, obviously?
Yeah, I'm all right.
What happened?
I don't know. It looks like a front spindle broke.
Was it the tire that came off?
Tire came off first, yeah. And then I just saw the tire come up and I saw the wheel collapse. I don't really know what happened.
One heck of a drag race, that's for sure.
Yeah, what do you run?
568 to your 69.
That's where it goes.
And obviously dejected Richard Tharp, losing to Gary Beck in the first round of racing. Maybe just a bit more dejected than we think. In qualifying, drag racing's all-time quickest car obliterated another track record, the National Trail Elapsed Time mark. Gary Beck kept the car under control as a right front tire came off on the run that netted him a 5.47 second elapsed time.
Sounds like we need an improvement in front wheels and tires. This has been happening a lot.
Top fuel champion and three-time world champion, Shirley Muldowney. On a qualifying run earlier in the event, Shirley ran into problems. Shedding parts and pieces, the car finally rolled to a stop. Shirley Muldowney jumped from the cockpit, signaling to the arriving safety crew and to the fans that she was okay. As we look again, the smoke you see comes from some internal engine damage. It was the left front tire letting go at nearly 250 miles an hour that caused the car to head for the guardrail. Strike it a glancing blow. The impact kept the car from going over the rail, forcing it back onto the edge of the racetrack where it finally came to a halt. From another angle, you can see the problems created when the front tire came off. The car violently shaking and rocking as it headed for the guardrail. The sharp impact sent the car flying through the air. But the important point, Shirley was not injured. But that was the least of his problems. As we can see, Scarlett suffered some engine damage as indicated by the smoke. No parachute, but more seriously, he lost the left front tire during the run. At over 252 miles an hour, the tire literally spun off the racing wheel.
Well, down the front wheel flies off, the chute doesn't come out, you really had your hands full.
Well, the tube wrapped around the wheel and locked the wheel up naturally, and so I couldn't get my hands off the steering wheel. I had all I could do to hold the car on the racetrack.
You know, some of the drivers, including Gary Beck, are trying to glue these tires on to keep them on.
Wheels were glued on.
Let's take another look. That is Harold Denton in the far lane, and that black and silver Firebird completes the run here at about 160 miles an hour. Things look about under control. Then at a snap spin to the left, up against the guardrail, and down into the dirt, throwing off pieces of fiberglass as he goes. But Steve, it doesn't look as if the car sustained a whole lot of serious damage.
It looks a lot worse than it really is, Brock. You see the front end fiberglass flying away. The deck lid will now leave the automobile. These cars cost about $50,000 to build, and probably for $3,000 or $4,000 Harold can repair the car. I really think when the chute was not deployed, maybe got on the brakes a little too hard, maybe a tire went down to cause that spin. But the chute was not out until it backed into the guardrail. Harold,
a couple of unique vehicles, but all eyes were on the Garlett's car, blasting off the line, looking as if it was running without front tires. He won easily 544, 264 miles an hour. But it was a victory that came not without major penalties. Steve had a look.
Well, in qualifying last weekend, Don Garlett's had some problems with the front tires, if you can even call it a tire, and it appears that there's a problem again, as the rubber that he had applied over that V-belt has apparently come apart and done some damage to the front end. It'll be interesting to see if they can repair this and run in the second round. This could be a problem that could conceivably put him out of the race. We'll follow this story. In qualifying, Pastorini in the near lane, kaboom! Blower explosion actually took a cylinder head off of the motor. Pastorini did a tremendous job of keeping the car under control, but a lot of people said he won't be back. This is a bucks down, unsponsored effort. Somewhere, Pastorini found the parts to put the car back together and found himself racing Shirley in round one. Another look at a horrific blower explosion.
All eyes now concentrating on the tree. We watch it carefully. Both cars are staged, ready to go, and Shirley Muldowney inches away now. She is your leader at the midway point, and Muldowney goes up in a ball of fire. The car out of control, and she brings it back under control now. Shirley Muldowney bringing the car down to the shutoff area as the car screeches to a stop here. She has done a beautiful job on keeping it under control.
I'll tell you, Hank Enders did a fine job avoiding Shirley when she crossed over the center line, Jen. That is a terrible explosion, but she really did a heck of a job controlling that car.
That car was virtually sideways, on fire, in a ball of fire, and here is Shirley, who has brought the car down under control, and she is all right, and as luck would have it, she has won the race.
Is the thing going to really do it or not?
And it does it too well. He smokes the tires at the starting line, and Darrell Gwynn wins the race. He loses a tire. The left rear tire is gone off of Darrell Gwynn's car. It is listing, but he has got the car under control and brings it to a stop. Darrell Gwynn wins his third national event in a row. As he gets out of the race car, he is going to be confronted with a shocking sight. A bare wheel resting against the pavement. A tremendous driving job by Darrell Gwynn. Let's look again.
Darrell gets the starting line advantage, not to be denied. Well, the guys over on Gene Snow team obviously made too much power for the run. Darrell comes down the course by himself, and just as he goes into the finish line, a tremendous explosion. The tire comes off the car, and look at Darrell holding onto that car to try to make it go straight. It wants to drive over to one side. I've made hundreds of runs in these cars and seen thousands. I've never seen anything like this before.
What a driving job by Gwynn. Gene Snow, trying to push his fueler into the 5-0s, had a perfect run going until something cut the left rear tire and sent the car hard into the right-hand guardrail. Luckily, the car stayed up against the guardrail and scrubbed off a lot of speed. As the guardrail ended, the car turned right and came to rest against a utility pole padded by tires. The safety safari and NHRA paramedic Ronnie Davis were on the scene immediately, where Gene Snow, winner of this year's Cajun Nationals, was found to have a broken collarbone. In slow motion replay, it appears as if a part, possibly a weight from the front end, fell off, got under the car, and cut down the left rear tire. In this second angle, you can see that the loss of the tire sent the car into an uncontrollable hard right turn. It hit the concrete wall with such force that Gene Snow was knocked unconscious, unable to reach for the brake or otherwise control his dragster, which was still moving with considerable speed. As the guardrail came to an end, the car no longer had a barrier to scrub off speed or prevent it from turning right, and it veered straight for a utility pole ringed by impact-absorbing tires. The tire barrier caught the left rear wheel, long since stripped of its tire, and pulled a battered Gene Snow and his broken car to an abrupt halt. I'm happy to report that Gene Snow will make a full recovery, although he is expected to be out of competition at least. Watch Forsell's car in the near lane. At about three-quarter track, an intake valve broke. The engine exploded, blowing the left rear tire. Forsell had the driving job of his life to stay away from Joe Amato. After he brought the car to a safe stop, Forsell unbuckled his seat restraints and climbed from the car. Steve Evans was there and had a chance to talk to Dennis.
The staging just about complete. LaHaye is set. A good start. And problems for LaHaye. He crossed over the center line. Brotherton won the race with a 5.02 seconds. LaHaye doing a great driving job to keep his car out of Brotherton's lane.
problems, obviously, as you see the car listing over to the left and a flat left rear tire. As we watch again, LaHaye neared the finish line. And then something apparently cut the tire, causing it to lose air. LaHaye drifted over the center line, hit the timing lights, but stayed away from Mike Brotherton, who won the race and advanced into the semifinal round. This could be the knockout blow to LaHaye's hopes for a Winston title. Both Ormsby and Amato still in competition. There was a scary incident in round one. Jim White and the Hawaiian bunch Dodge in the near lane had the left rear tire cut down just off the starting line. This caused the tire to come apart, and as it did, it took out the entire left rear quarter of the car. Let's watch again. White in the near lane. The damage to the race car, severe. His competition, Glenn Micra, smoked the tires, but he headed to the finish line the winner, while White was fighting that Dodge, trying to keep it upright and off the guardrail. A brilliant driving job by White, preventing further damage to the Dodge Daytona. After the incident, Steve had a chance to talk with him.
The car on the west belongs to Bill Schultz and the over-the-hill gang. Oh boy, this looks like pro stock racing. It is Mark Oswald. Oh, and a huge problem, Don Garlitz.
Something has went wrong. Look at the body kicked up on the backside, oil coming out of the engine. That crew is going to have a tremendous amount of work to do.
From another angle, take a look at the car in the left-hand lane. Right there. It blows a left rear tire. Probably ran over a piece of debris, something on the racetrack. Completely shreds that huge left rear slick.
These slicks, they turn nearly 2,000 RPM in the light, so there's a lot of force on them. If any little thing happened to be on the track, it could have blown that tire. Look at the pieces coming off, and then the tire rubs the body, creates a tremendous amount of smoke. What a masterful driving job for Mark Oswald to be able to keep that car under control.
Until he got here Thursday, Big Daddy, and he had one scary ride.
He sure did, Steve. A connecting rod came out of the engine, went through the tire, it blew, it caught on fire. The snake did a masterful job of controlling the car, keeping it off the guardrail, and a minimum of damage.
Well, I talked to him just seconds later. He was as cool as ever. Yesterday, in qualifying, the Hill car in the near lane all by himself. Everything looked real good until right at the finish line when the engine blows up. A piece of debris punctures a tire, and Eddie Wheel is on a fiery three-wheeled ride. Do not try this at home, ladies and gentlemen. Well, later examination proved that indeed a piece of connecting rod probably punctured that tire. A dual kaboomer. Watch this. The yellow car of Eddie Hill. The tire smoke, the engine blows. Seconds later, Clayton Harris' engine blows. Neither driver wants to give up. With the tires burning off the vehicle, Eddie Hill crosses the finish line first and swings right in front of Clayton, Don Garlitz.
Eddie Hill did a masterful job of handling the car with one tire. It is very difficult. Car dragging on the frame. Percy Hill, his wife, sees the accident, doesn't know whether Eddie's been hurt or not. Certainly knows a lot of parts have been destroyed, and they had destroyed a lot of engines here. Eddie Hill, he got out of the car. He was fine. Looks the damage over here. We have another look at it in slow motion. Eddie Hill takes a slight advantage off the starting line. Looks like it's going to be an easy win. The tires break loose, then the engine blows, and a lot of heat is generated, causing a lot of problems. Then Harris' engine blows and catches on fire. Here it is very, very spectacular. But in just a few moments, something happens to Hill's tires. They explode. Part of the tire goes up, takes off part of the wing. Here we see the wing disintegrating. Hill has a lot of handling problems, but he gets the car stopped safely. So does Clayton Harris. Neither driver is injured.
Big-time problems. Did he ever?
Oh, yeah, I've never seen this happen before. Watch the car in the far lane. Kaboom. You know what happened? He blew both rear tires simultaneously. Occasionally, we'll see one tire blow and do a little body damage, but nothing like what we saw here at Pomona in round one. I talked to a shocked driver. What started out as a coupe is now a roadster.
You got that right. I don't know what happened. I've never seen anything like that in all my life.
What do you think happened?
I have no idea, my friend. Those tires only had 5 runs on them or 4 runs. There's nothing wrong with this car. I mean, I don't understand this.
Well, 93 has got to be better.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it will.
It's a great race on tap.
Absolutely. I wouldn't wager a sou either way. You're running with Kenny Bernstein. We don't see a motto. Bernstein, engine goes away. Bernstein sideways in the middle of the racetrack. Kenny Bernstein in big, big trouble. Bernstein is over the rail, on fire. We are going to rush to the scene. Brock Yates, pick it up.
All right, a tremendous crash. As you saw, the engine broke loose from Kenny Bernstein's automobile. The NHRA Safety Safari on the scene almost instantaneously, trying to get to Kenny. He's still in the race car.
Here in Topeka on Friday, first qualifying session, his fortunes took a disastrous turn. For reasons not yet determined, at 286 miles an hour, Herbert's left rear slick blew out. He hit the left-hand wall hard. Back across the racetrack, the car slung around. Now the rear end and engine elevate the cockpit enough to get it over the highest wall on the championship trail. He then encountered an unmanned scaffolding, which may have acted as a catch net in some ways. I can tell you, when I arrived on the scene, I feared for the man's life. NHRA Safety Safari, their trained technicians were all there, the Life Flight helicopter, and Doug Herbert, though unconscious for the first 5 minutes or so, was okay. Battered and bruised, but no broken bones. Incredible, Brock.
May shock some folks, but that's where Ranth likes to run. Oh, my goodness, and he goes up in smoke, and Shelley has all kinds of problems, blows the right rear tire. She's trying to control the race car. The parachutes are coming out, and now it'll slow down quickly. But something let go. You saw the sparks come out of the car. The Slick 50 dragster, absolutely a mess.